We're going to keep you guys up here because you are our special guest as well. And I want you to find a place to sit here where you can see what's going on the screen, okay? So just camp out. And if there are children here who are not in the choir who would like to join us for a special teaching moment, you can come forward right now and find a spot on the platform to see what's going on. So, around here at the Riverside Church, we talk about justice a lot. In Riverside Kids Worship, we talk about justice and oppression. And we say that oppression is when what? When someone's pressing down on a group of people, that's oppression. And we talk about how we can make a difference in those situations, how we can look around at our classroom and notice when people aren't being treated fairly because of the color of their skin, the way they're dressed, the way they speak, who they love. There are a lot of reasons that people are oppressed sometimes. They're pressed down. Well, one thing we've also talked about is how when we make those brave choices to stand up for other people, sometimes we face very serious consequences. We might have to endure some embarrassment. It might be embarrassing to say, hey, leave her alone. Or we might face the consequences of people not understanding what we're doing or thinking we're just not so cool. Well, someone who understood the consequences of making brave choices was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He made lots of choices that made his life harder, made the lives of his family harder. For example, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was arrested 29 times. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was arrested 29 times. Sometimes he knew that what he was doing was against the law, and he did it anyway, because that was the brave thing to do. Sometimes he was arrested because of silliness and nonsense, and they arrested him anyway. But he knew that the choices he was making could put his life in danger, could put his freedom in danger, could cause him to have to go to jail. And he did it anyway. He did it anyway. Well, one time when he was in jail, he wrote a letter. Because there were some pastors who had gotten together and said that he was moving too fast. He was causing chaos. He was doing things that made them feel very uncomfortable. And they said, you're great, Dr. King and all, but we can't support you, we can't march with you, we can't preach about these things from the pulpit, we might lose our jobs, we might get in trouble, and the world's just not ready for that yet. Dr. King did not believe this to be true. And he wrote them a long letter, and you can read it. It is called Letter from a Birmingham Jail, because he was in a Birmingham jail. And from that jail cell, he wrote this letter to these other pastors. And one of the things that he said to them was that now is the time. Now is the time. It's not time to wait. We shouldn't wait for everyone to feel comfortable, but now is the time. Can you say that? Now is the time? You've memorized a quote from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Say it again. Now is the time. Church, now is the time. Let me ask something of our pastors here. Riverside pastors, when is the time to preach love and justice from the pulpit of the church?
Now is the time.
Children, when is the time for every child to be able to go to the doctor affordably? Grown-ups, when is the time for every child to have access to clean water?
Now is the time.
Church, when is the time for there to be prison reform to eradicate our prison system from profits and injustice?
Now is the time.
When is the time for every child to get good nutrition at lunch and breakfast?
Now is the time.
When is the time for people to be able to walk down the street safely without being bothered by other people or law enforcement. Now is the time. Now is the time. But let me tell you something. People will tell you something very different even today. In 2018, people will tell you one of two things. I want you to remember two things that you're going to hear. Number one, people are going to tell you that the work is done. That then was the time, but now we're fine. But these words are still true. When is the time? The second thing you might hear is like those pastors tried to tell Dr. King a long time ago. They'll say, it's not time yet. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny that people will say, it's already accomplished or not yet? Isn't that funny? But you know what? Even if it makes us feel uncomfortable, even if it costs us money, costs us our freedom sometimes, now is the time. So don't believe anybody who says that it's already done, and don't believe anybody that it's too soon. Because what? What? Now is the time. You may return to your seats.